My name is Deborah Brownson, and both of my sons, Joshua and Jacob, have Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of autism. So what is autism? It is a lifelong developmental disability that causes social and communication difficulties. No one really knows what causes autism, but we do know that it seems to run in families, and boys are more likely to have it than girls. There is no cure, so autistic children grow up to be autistic adults. It is referred to as a spectrum condition, as everyone is affected differently. No two people's autism will be the same. On a very basic level, autism affects the ability to interact with the people around you and affects how you perceive the world around you too. It is often referred to as a hidden disability, as there can be no visible signs that a person has it apart from the way they behave. Children with autism can often be wrongly judged as being naughty rather than having a disability, which is the reason I wrote my book, He's Not Naughty, A Children's Guide to Autism. Experts now refer to autism as being part of the autistic spectrum condition, or ASC, under which there are many different types of autism. We don't have the time to go into detail about the specific types, but be aware that at one end of the spectrum you have classic autism, where children often are non-verbal, which means incapable of speech, but this does not necessarily mean they cannot communicate through sign language or speech-generated apps or PECs. It also doesn't mean they don't have anything to say. There are, however, some children with classic autism that are not able to communicate. They can have learning disabilities, may never live independent lives, and sometimes still wear nappies, so may need changing facilities on the plane. Remember, no two people's autism will be the same. At the other end of the spectrum, you have Asperger's syndrome and high-functioning autism. These people are often above average intelligence, sometimes near geniuses in certain subjects. They can speak well, live independently, but often live with high anxiety and sensory issues and social difficulties. It is also worth dispelling a common myth here that some people believe that all children who have autism have an extraordinary talent, like a photographic memory, or an exceptional musical or artistic talent. These individuals are referred to as a savant, and it is very rare. At present, medical professionals prefer to just give a diagnosis of an autistic spectrum condition, or an ASC, instead of giving a specific type of autism. Throughout this video, for simplicity, I'll refer to it as autism, but just be aware that there are many other names you might hear that are all subcategories of autism. It is common for people with autism to also have other medical conditions like ADHD, epilepsy, sleep disorders, sensory processing disorders, OCD, food intolerances, high anxiety issues, learning disabilities, and many more. Everyone with autism is affected in their own unique way. It is currently thought that 1% of the world's 7 billion population has some form of autism. That's 70 million people. So you will encounter a passenger on your flight or in the terminal building who has autism. And this video will help you understand how best to help. How could an autistic passenger feel on a flight? Most people with autism have high anxiety and therefore seek to control their environment by sticking to a routine. This makes them feel safe. When stressed, autistic people can use a self-calming technique called stimming, which could be flapping their hands, moving around, rocking, repeating words, all of which can help them feel better. Unexpected or unknown stimuli such as turbulence, tannoy announcements, or baby screaming, or even the lightest physical touch by someone bumping into them can actually cause them intense pain or fear. Being made to sit still on a plane with no control is going to make them feel scared. Lots of people with autism struggle to cope with unfamiliar or unexpected noise or smells, of which there are many on an aircraft. They are often their calmest at home where they feel safe and they are away from strangers. On a plane, they are near to lots of strangers all talking at the same time. The child will therefore feel scared, stressed and anxious. Parents will use distraction techniques like letting them watch their favourite movie with headphones on or wearing noise-reducing headphones from the second they board the plane to drown out the noise and the unfamiliarity, giving the autistic passengers warnings of any expected noise or events on the aircraft or even in the terminal building will help them cope better. How will parents feel? Life for a parent or carer of an autistic person is very stressful. It's a 24-hour-a-day job with no breaks. You often have to give a much higher level of care than is expected for the child's age. The demands can leave parents exhausted. On a flight, they will feel anxious, sometimes embarrassed, stressed, sleep-deprived, defensive, worried what other people around them will think, but above all, they will be doing their very best. Listening to people's tuts and rude remarks upsets parents dealing with a hidden disability, and they will spend the whole flight trying to manage their child to avoid them having a meltdown. What's a meltdown? Children with autism can find it hard to use their senses all at once. Their brains are bombarded by too much sound, light, smells or touch, and they can't process it all at the same time, as it makes them feel like their head will explode and makes them angry, scared and volatile. A meltdown is when there has been a complete overload to a child's senses and they lose all behavioural control. Unfortunately, to the untrained eye, it can look as if the child is having a tantrum. There are many signs that show that the child is losing control. There could be one, some, or all of the following: flapping hands, rocking, shouting, screaming, crying, biting, spitting, screaming, hitting themselves. The caregivers will do all they can to avoid a meltdown, as it is very upsetting, draining, and challenging to deal with for all concerned. They will look out for the signs that the child is getting stressed and address each one as it arises. Most parents will only consider taking their child on a plane if they are confident that they can manage their child's autism. There will have been a lot of planning and preparation before you even see them at the terminal building or on the plane. My children have flown over 20 times and never once have had a full-blown meltdown, but an awful lot of work has gone into making sure that doesn't happen. My youngest son Jake has had a few little outbursts, but when dealt with correctly, they can be diffused very quickly. Your role in these situations is to provide support to the caregivers and guide other passengers' behaviour. No one expects you to be an autism expert. The parents are the experts on their child's autism, so let them guide you. Lots of autistic people can't give eye contact. They are not being rude. Treat them like every other passenger. Don't talk down to them or slow your speech or speak in a childlike manner. Go off their lead. If they are chatty with you, chat with them. If they are keeping quiet and keeping themselves to themselves, then just leave them be. Bear in mind that autistic children grow up to be autistic adults who may not be comfortable asking for any help. If you notice a passenger having difficulty in any of the above ways mentioned above, please don't judge them as being weird. They may have autism and need your understanding and patience to help them get through the flight. Obviously, you need to have a plan in place for how to deal with an autistic passenger if they are becoming distressed. An easy way is to remember this would be to think of the vowels A, E, I, O, U. A. Act normal, smile, ignore what's going on and let the parents deal with it, as they are the expert in how to deal with their child best. E. Explain. Explain to other passengers, quietly and discreetly, that the passenger has autism and their patience and understanding would be appreciated at this time. I. Inform. Inform the parent not dealing with the child, or if alone the parent, that you are there to help in any way you can, and they should call you if they need anything by pressing the overhead button. O. Observe. Observe from afar, be ready to help. Offer. Offer a distraction if possible, like cold water or a magazine. U. Understand. Understand how hard it must be for the child and the family. When the meltdown is over, praise the parents and child for dealing with the situation and offer them a drink, etc. So the vowels are A, E, I, O, U. A. Act normal. E. Explain. I. Inform. O. Observe. U. Understand. You should also be prepared for dealing with other passengers who don't believe that people with disabilities should be allowed to travel on a plane, or sometimes even be allowed out in public. People who have disabilities are different, not less. They are not second-rate citizens who should be locked away for fear of spoiling someone's enjoyment of a flight. It would serve you well to have a think about what your calm, concise response would be to this situation, as it is often hard to think straight when you are shocked and stressed. If there are any spare seats on the plane, moving the complainer may help. Autistic people do have many challenges to overcome in their lives, but they are also wonderful people to be around. Don't be scared of autism. Understand it yourself so you can explain it to others. Thank you for listening. Hopefully now you will feel better equipped to deal with autism. If you'd like to learn more, read my book or contact me, please visit my website www.he'snotnaughty.co.uk. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.